We lost some political giants already in 2015. My senator, Edward Brooke, he was the first African American senator and a liberal Republican, died last week at the age of 95. I remember
They're a rare breed, aren't
they're
they?
a rare breed. In 1973, I was part of the Close-Up program in Washington, D.C., and I can remember standing in the rotunda of the Senate office building as this very distinguished gentleman stood there and talked to, had to be 200 kids from his state about politics and service, and it was truly awe-inspiring. And,
Sure.
just a true. But the other liberal giant that died, and he was a true liberal Democrat, was Mario Cuomo. And such a great loss. I'd like to play a couple of seconds of his 1984 speech before the Democratic National Convention.
We Democrats must unite. We Democrats must unite so that the entire nation can unite, because surely the Republicans won't bring this country together. Their policies divide the nation into the lucky and the left out, into the royalty and the rabble. The Republicans are willing to treat that division as victory. They would cut this nation in half into those temporarily better off and those worse off than before, and they would call that division recovery. And I ask you now, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, for the good of all of us, for the love of this great nation, for the family of America, for the love of God, please make this nation remember how futures are built. Thank you, and God bless you.
Mario's gone. What do you think, guys?
Well, I think he was a fascinating character in many ways. He was a working class, Catholic, deeply Catholic man, and we talked about religion earlier on. Deeply Catholic, but didn't let these things, interfere with his liberal sensibilities. I mean, for example, on that red hot third rail issue of abortion, I mean, he was said women have the right to their own bodies. I mean, this is a deeply Catholic man saying these things, and he made that speech that we've seen, which was a very powerful speech. He was under a great deal of pressure to run for presidency. He didn't actually quite do it. People said he bottled out, but he didn't do it. He would have made he would have given Reaganomics a run for the money.
I didn't know too much about him really, so I had a little bit of a read about him, his history and everything. A fascinating guy, and he seems to be someone as well that embodies a much broader intellectual underpinning to his political career, very different from the professional politicians and the kind of backwater know nothings that we tend to get in political circles today. So yeah, somebody I think who will be sorely missed.
Yeah, well, we are literally looking at the United States doing everything in its power to destroy anything of intellect. I mean, I was reading, over the holidays about efforts to eliminate foreign language studies now in the United States, and I keep thinking to myself, my God. I mean, as I said earlier in the podcast, I'm speaking in fluent Dutch to this woman. I can speak a bit of French, a bit of German, a bit of Spanish, and you think to yourself, if the United States is going to build a wall around itself and totally block out any sort of, when did it become a crime to be smart? Mario Cuomo was very smart, as were people like Edward Brooke and others. And
the other thing that strikes me, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, you know more about this, but I mean, there are so many of these liberal liars of the left who are pretty elderly and are falling off the perch, basically. So is it the case that that they are only fairly elderly people? Well, not only, but I mean a lot of fairly elderly liberal liars of the left in America, particularly. Is that the case, Dennis?
We don't have many left. That's the problem. Yeah. I mean, and the interesting thing is you look at the incoming Senate, which we'll talk about in a minute, and all of the chair people, the average age was something like 80 years old for the chairman of every major committee. It was absolutely astonishing when I saw it on the telly the other night.
So why is that then? Why are they older?
I don't know. It's just, we've been under control now of a very conservative Congress for so long.